What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Ball Status. That's right, folks. We're here to talk about the business of health and the health of business. I'm Doug Miller, and this is my co-host, Meaty Thighs, Patrick Mabe, National Sales Manager or Director, I forget your title, whatever you are,
I don't have
for Core America or something like that. And this is James Gracely. We make up titles here too. What is your? I guess you're Sales Director of Merica Energy.
Yeah, that'll work.
Talked when I say the Director of Merica Energy.
The Director.
The only employee.
Is it all capitalized? THE?
That's not wrong. He is the Merica Energy employee. So we got a good episode today. I honestly did not prepare for this.
That's good.
But we just decided, you know what we should entitle this? Energy drinks, energy drinks, energy drinks. What do you think about
creative?
Do you think that's a good one?
I think it's good.
Let's table that.
I think I nailed it. It's good. So
speaking of energy drinks, this episode is sponsored by.
Yeah, let's get in there.
Boom.
That's what we're going with.
It sounds amazing in the headphones.
You know,
Freedom is up there, man.
and Victory, I know why it's our biggest seller right now. It just it's kind of like wow every time you try it. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And it's
one
such
of
an
a kind.
outlier in that space. And that's what I keep hearing from distributors apart we're talking to, that everything kind of tastes similar now.
Yes.
But Victory is so different than what's currently on the market. It's perfect.
Which makes me think, now we're digressing, now we're brainstorming, now we're what we call
We could do
squirreling
this the
in
whole
the
episode
business.
if you want to. I got
Now
one.
I feel like we should go more of a traditional soda route. in
So
flavors.
this
How do you
morning
feel
I
about that?
told Dave, I'm like, you know what? I don't know where this came from, but I really want American Classic. And it goes back to
that
the
old soda shop taste, kind of straight from the fountain.
I want a cheer one.
See, I think we need to. Okay, so now we're talking.
We've
I
been
think we need to
talking.
redo the American Classic if we bring back cherry cola.
We
I think
do
it needs to be
as
improved.
that one name we've been talking about, the hoosh, whoosh, douche, douche.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah. We had a whole write-up about beans and stuff.
Oh,
So
Best
if we
one
go
there.
that route, if we go that
oh.
route, but use that name, it works still.
See, even though I'm the only American Energy employee, I have no idea what you're talking about.
So you just got to
Remember that write-up about the bean popping?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Remember that flavor?
So we
Poppin'
take
beans.
that
The one I
route.
fought you
We
on.
take that name in that direction, but we go back towards
go with a
the
cherry cola.
Cola.
I co-sign that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we just,
Collaborated with Cheer. I don't know if Cheerwine would get behind that name and all that bean popping, but
no one knows what the heck we're talking about. There's been a lot of talk of bean popping around here. So
No drug usage at the moment.
yeah. So why James is on? So James, well, maybe we can get into the James Gracely origin story. How about that?
Oh, man. Here's what we run into, and my wife gives me a hard time because I don't remember dates. Like, I give you a broad spectrum.
Well, let's start from. Let's start back to childhood.
damn, we're gonna be here forever.
Let's not.
Okay,
We'll all be
let's
here
fast
crying
forward
and-
to, how about like schooling, military, or whatever. Like, how'd you get into? Because you are known in this industry. If you guys don't know James Gracely, a lot of you probably don't know James Gracely, but anyone in the
Because he doesn't do this.
That's by
because
design.
he doesn't do this, right? He's like a silent killer. Anyone in the drink space, or even really the specialty space, knows James Gracely. It's kind of funny. It's kind of weird, actually.
It's fun, man.
And
we talk about
I'll
this all
tell
the
you
time.
what,
I love grace, like in humility, and I try to humble myself as much as possible by talking to everybody.
Well, this is true, and the reason why is at these trade shows, he literally burns the midnight oil. Like,
Absolutely.
the schmoozing at night, schmoozing during the day, schmoozing at breakfast, schmoozing all the time, maybe like 3 hours of sleep, and that's why you know everyone.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So let's go back. So what's your shtick? What's your story?
Oh,
Like, where do you come from, and how did you get into the energy drink world? Because really, I mean, you've done a lot of things, but energy drinks is really like, that's your passion, like your specialty, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can start when I left. Well, I left the military. I had a back injury that put me out, and I was this begging for something to do that kept me active. I didn't really lift weights growing up. I was always long and lean, and there's strength and leverage. So when I was playing sports, I didn't have to lift weights. And it turned out I can put weight on pretty easily. So trying to rehab that back injury kind of got me into weightlifting, and then in turn kind of falling into some GNCs. I was doing some sport-specific training at some local YMCAs, and I was bored during the day because, as you guys have known at this point, I don't like to sit still. I'm up till 2, 3 in the morning firing off emails or doing something active with my brain or body. So I went to a local GNC and just started as a part-time employee. That's literally how it started.
So how old were you then?
Oh, shoot. 25, 26-ish. That sounds about right.
And so how long were you with there?
I was in and out of GNCs for, 5 or 6, 7 years, somewhere in that area. I mean, I was a part-time sales associate, store manager, senior store manager. I bounced back and forth between GNC corporate stores, so some GNC franchise stores, where I ended up meeting a lot of, reps at that time, because, outside sales teams at that time were few and far between. I think the first outside sales team I had met was a Cellucor rep, and that was when they first started to see their real climb in 2010 that was ish.
That was pretty much Cellucor and USP Labs were.
100%. Yeah, USP Labs, Cellucor. What was Explode was the big pre-workout back then.
Oh yeah.
So that's how it began. And then through one of those reps that I'd met, a handful of years later, they wanted to build a similar outside sales team that they did with Cellucor with VPX. At the time, Bang Energy had been around for a few years, gone through a few iterations.
So what year is this now? This is important.
You're going to dial me into years.
Well, because I'm curious, like if Bang actually, because Bang was around for a while before they blew up.
100%. So I want to say 2012, late 2012, early 13, I believe was around the time, and they had been around for about a year or two. Mm-hmm. And that's when they had the Bang written long ways up the can. Was one of the first times I remember seeing it.
With a bullet.
100%. The original Bang iteration was 357 milligrams of caffeine.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, Jack had some reason.
Come on.
I totally missed that. Like a 357 Magnum.
357 Magnum.
I totally missed that.
Yeah. So the original. So when he started peeling back some of the can or changing the can iterations, he obviously peeled back the caffeine some. At any rate, so the gentleman.
Did it have the super creatines?
Oh, it had super creatine.
Okay, just checking.
And that was so when you're with one of the, and I won't nail this into just GNC. When you're working for these corporate stores, there's a certain dollar figure you got to hit daily.
Yeah.
So when I ran a couple of mall stores, and these employees would come in and want an energy drink. They want to spend $2 or $3. I'm like, I need you to spend 40 or 50.
Right.
I'm like, it's got creatine in it. They were like, no, I didn't know that. I said, go get a water. You don't want creatine to sit on your butt the rest of the day. And I would talk people out of Bang sales. I didn't want to hurt my average dollar.
Right.
So I always found that kind of funny as I ended up working for Bang years later. They should talk people out of buying this drink for years.
That's great.
Not to hurt my average dollar during the day. But as this gentleman was trying to, reach out and build this kind of field sales team, I was going to start at Bang Energy as a field sales manager, to run the Southeast. That was the beginning.
So it wasn't the pills and powders at VPX. It was literally to sell the drink.
It was to sell the drink, but obviously there were some synergies, right? I mean, like here, there's some synergies with Merica Energy and Merica Labs. We want to kind of tie the two together. The lead at that time, because Bang Energy was starting to see some climb. I think at the time it was 4 flavors. The idea was to, again, leverage Bang to move pills and powders.
Yep.
Never really ended up being the case because Bang became the juggernaut and everybody forgot about pills and powders, even though they still make a lot of pills and powders.
So you started as like a regional sales manager.
That's how it started.
So you had like a couple states or something?
I had a couple states. I had the entire Southeast. And there was, when I came on board, this lasted.
And did you have a truck?
No. It lasted for all of a day. The day I start, the national sales director who brought me on board and the vice president of sales left the company in the same week, leaving a huge void in three field sales managers. So there was work on the table that needed to be done. And I'm not the guy to go ask for permission to do something if something needs to be done. I just started doing the job. I said that happens nowhere. Like, whether you're qualified or not, whether you could do the job or not, it happens nowhere. So essentially overnight, I moved from not being on this side, if you will, the vendor side of the industry, to going to basically running all the specialty for VPX pretty much overnight. It was a lot of trial and error, and obviously having Bang helps. Jesus, man, I mean that thing at that point
So what year is this now? Like it's starting to take off.
Same year. It was that. It was literally the day I started. Both of those guys.
So Bang has been around for, I mean,
almost a decade.
Bang has been big and blowing up for about eight years.
8 years. So Bang didn't take off then. It was a couple of years down the road. Yeah. That was always my biggest pushback around, we'll say 2014,
like 2015 was about the time.
And
that's when I came into the stores, and that's when.
So what caused that blow up?
It was an outlier in that space at that time, right? I mean, it was given the wherewithal to take energy as a whole, kind of branded as a better for you, because everybody was drinking Red Bulls, drinking Monsters, and at the time, I think this was just before Monster Ultra started coming out, nothing tastes good. Yeah. And I always joke about this.
And there wasn't a lot of zero sugar stuff on the market.
There wasn't a lot. Well, I think Red Bull was trying, but it's still not good.
No, Red Bull is still not good.
Good. But it's one of the truest testaments to first to market, right? And Jesus, I mean, they've been around for ages, and that was always. I mean, I grew up in the clubs and working security, and you drank your Red Bull and vodka at night.
Yep.
And the next day when you were heading out, you grabbed your 2 Red Bulls and kept on moving. Bang just happened to come along at the right time, right? Give you some flavor innovation, put some better for you ingredients in a can, and that was the sell.
So at this point in time, where did you end up at Bang? And what year did you leave Bang? Like, how did you progress through Bang?
Oh man,
are you working directly with Jack?
I'm working directly with Jack. Working directly with a couple of his right hand people. We all had kind of like here. We all had multiple jobs. Begrudgingly so there, not so much here. So a lot of international business. As we started to grow that thing into large format, or grocery, convenience, a non-traditional business like military. That's where all it started. It started sports nutrition. It started to carve its way out, and that's when Red Bull and Monster started taking notice.
So did you learn the ins and outs of the distribution chain and the different avenues literally on the job, like you had to figure it out? Or was there a mentor there, or somebody that kind of already knew that path for beverage, or what?
So I kind of learned it in reverse, whereas it was, here's a product, you're starting to see some traction. Grocery and convenience chains are really showing some interest. Went that route first, and that was at the time not the route to go. At the time, it was find your distribution partner and then move through distribution partner to retail. Yep. That's how a lot of it began. As that business began to scale, greatly so, right? They brought in a handful of individuals from Red Bull and Monster, a couple of guys in particular. I do consider one of those guys a mentor to me in the beverage space, who's a flipping rock star. I talked to him 2 nights ago. I talked to him at least once a week because I get a lot of things. He came from Red Bull North America, where he helped build that distribution footprint. That's when I really got in his back pocket. And a lot of people were, again, what we talked about earlier, like being humble and taking everything as they come, is as a lot of my responsibilities started being peeled away, because we are growing to a point where bandwidth is an issue. They started to peel a lot of their responsibility away. And they were like, "Are you upset?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not." I said, "I can learn so much from this guy. All I have to do is get out of my own way, hop in his back pocket." And that's when I got a chance to go to every retail buyer in the country, because what we just talked about, this is different, or was rather at the time different than Red Bull, different than Monster, where it is more functional, right? And whether or not they're truly functional or efficacious was irrelevant. The Red Bull and Monster guys had no idea how to explain super creatine or CoQ10. I did. So I'm like, when they want to go to 7-Eleven or Walmart or Quick Trip or Wawa, and they're like, "Who wants to go?" And I'm, "Take me." That's when I got a chance to learn the distribution side and learn how to build out what that network would look like and what that takes. It's obviously an undertaking.
So you ended up as like a VP
I ended up as VP of specialty. And then obviously, again, there was so many things that were underneath the purview. I was still acting as national sales director. I still ran accounts, helped with some international, as we were traveling overseas to build out some of the overseas business for Bang. So that was a lot of fun.
2019?
Around that.
Because
no, it was a little earlier than that.
I remember meeting you at the Arnold. Yep. Bang had a huge booth.
Oh God.
I think we had Merica Energy, didn't we? at the time or no?
So we met at the Arnold, but then we also
At NAX.
Well, that was
year.
that was 2019.
Yeah.
That was 2019. By that
So I
time,
think
I had already
20
moved on. So 2018 was probably the Arnold we met.
And then you went on to Ignite.
I went on to
So
Ignite.
what's the story there? You worked with Dan Bilzerian. And, yeah. What's the story?
So my wife's lot in life is to kind of turn a blind eye, apparently, because she hasn't killed me yet. is to go from Bang Energy to Dan Bilzerian.
Yeah.
And then there was another opportunity after Ignite that would have been probably just as egregious, but I chose the better route, and I'm still alive. So I honestly went to Ignite to manage their CBD.
He came to us for the whole family atmosphere.
Yeah.
I came here for the jokes, 100%.
Or the gayness. How to say it?
Meat Brigade! I was waiting for the
Down here.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Got him. But no, I went there to run CBD and THC. And I always joke about that. The irony of that is I never smoked weed a day in my life, but there's so many practical applications that at some point legislation is going to get out of the way, and that's really going to take over in the country. That's originally why I went there.
So you started, you were a president of Ignite, or
So
what?
when they found out, someone got into Dan's back pocket somehow, because I would talk to him in passing, and we'd have some passing conversations, but
Yeah.
I'm not a chick. I'm not attractive, so he didn't care about talking to me. But the president of Ignite International, which is the parent company, went to Dan and was like, hey, you got a former VP of Bang on your staff, and I'm getting called out to Los Angeles to sit down with Dan because he wants a beverage company. And that's how that started. And we wanted to do everything. We wanted a piece of energy, we wanted a piece of water, we wanted a piece of spirits with tequila and vodka. We went down the route of looking at some seltzers at the time. So this whole encompassing beverage thing should have been, given its platform, right? Something that could have taken us in 10, 15, 20 years.
So you did launch an energy drink with them.
I helped launch an energy with them,
yeah.
with Zero, yeah. But more specific as helping with that or helping Bumper Bowl with that, I did more with spirits and tequila. And then got a chance to go to Jalisco. It was fun to go down to Mexico and learn. I'm a huge tequila fan.
His tequila tastes like butthole. I don't know how else to say it. That stuff you brought at the Christmas party, bro. It literally, if you took butthole and you
dude, you're offending a lot of people with this.
You absolutely.
No, I'm not telling you what brand it was.
Backpedal.
No, but it was a high end tequila.
Bro, but that wasn't there was nothing good about it was so smoky. It was literally like taking the butt end of a cigar and putting it in your mouth. That's what I felt like.
So mezcals are cooked differently.
Apparently.
And they do have that smoky blend. So now that I've pivoted to only drinking tequila, I miss bourbons. Bourbons are amazing. But I know what works for me. I know what works for my body. I can tell you down to the drinks that make me drunk. I can take a sip and put that damn thing down and go, no thanks. Tonight's will be even worse if I do this. So, but I missed bourbons. I missed that kind of smoky, barrel-y taste. And that's why I started drinking mezcal.
Maybe we should do a bourbon.
Merica bourbon.
Yeah.
I do love the,
Well, actually,
I
wasn't
the
there
alcohol
one?
space.
Wasn't there already American bourbon? Remember at NAX?
We did
We
talk
found
to
it
them.
somewhere.
Yeah, it's something along those lines.
Yeah,
I mean, it was very
I'll look it up.
America-centric. I don't know what the name was.
Well, we could do red, white, and bourbon.
Red, white, and bourbon. So, a good oaky bourbon.
Let's TM that quickly.
Well, our seltzer was
That
one's amazing.
That one's happening.
Okay, anyways.
Well, I had some interest in that the other day, so I meant to bring that up earlier. So there is an outlet for it. We want to do it.
So, okay. So you were there probably 2 years.
I was there right at 2 years. Yeah.
So
It's called Merica Bourbon.
That's it.
Yep. So can we talk a little bit about,
or no
without getting you into trouble? Can we talk a little bit why you decided to move on? Let's go there.
I could do that.
Okay, better yet.
Differencing of opinions.
Better yet. Why don't we talk about why you came to us? What was how you guys? What's that?
Well, that's perfect. So when I was stepping away, Ignite was pivoting to be, and this is fair to say, Ignite was pivoting to be a vape company, and they're doing so well in vape right now.
They are.
It made sense for them. I get it. So they still make some of the beverage items, but that's not really their shtick.
So does that still exist today? Zero.
It still exists today.
Where is it distributed? I don't see it very often.
There are a handful of the distributors we picked up earlier that still carry it, but not many, to be honest. They have put all their eggs in the vape barrel, and good for them. They're killing it in vape.
Yeah.
So since they weren't going to go down the path of vetting out what that beverage thing could look like, it made more sense for me, being we talked about earlier, beverage is my background, or not, beverage is my passion at this point.
Yeah.
Even though I'm probably, I'd say 8 to 10 years into what the beverage business is. I was looking around the industry, and I was super blessed that I talked to if there's a major national brand right now, I had a conversation with them, and it was awesome. But the reason I circle back is I remember the conversations that we'd had at the Arnold and at NACS, and then seeing how you guys both run your stores, run your brands. You don't cut any corners, which I find amazing. And I was kind of searching for a good fit, right? I was looking for an atmosphere or
well, you're also 30 minutes down the road, which helps.
Not at the time.
You didn't know that.
Not at the time. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I haven't seen Merica in the marketplace for a while. Being former military, I love anything that's Merica branded. I remember we had the conversation at one time, maybe getting away from the cartoon characters. And I was like, well, I started looking out, and I didn't see it anywhere. I was like, well, what happened? So I reached out to Pat. And he's like, funny you reach out to me. We're actually looking to move back into that space.
Yeah. We were in the middle of the rebrand, sitting on the couch in Ashburn. I get a text from James. And I was like, holy shit, Doug. James Graysley texted me. It's like a big deal. And he called me. I'm like, dude, I'm super humbled you called me. And I was like,
no, I think the first conversation is, bro, but we can't afford you.
Well, it got there.
I think that was the first conversation.
I let James kind of like say his piece, like what he was, why he's calling me, why he's reaching out. And I was like, dude, we're super humbled that you called us. But straight up, I don't know if we can afford you.
Hey, it's honest, right? We were honest. So, but so since then, you've kind of spearheaded the relaunch of Merica Energy, which I will say. So we launched on Memorial Day of 2018.
Right.
We're doing well until basically COVID came and crushed us. It crushed us. So we kind of packed up shop, wrote a bunch of stuff off, and we were starting over. And then it took us forever to get the new packaging out, because at that point in time, there was the supply chain, everything took longer than it should have. But when we first launched, the market was a lot, I don't want to say easier, but it was kind of...
It was cleaner.
It was way less crowded. Yeah. And so I remember when we launched, at the time, there was Bang, right? Which was Bang, and then Monster Ultra were the drinks that we all drank here. Yeah. And we wanted to create a better Monster Ultra.
Okay.
And then the tongue-in-cheek, marketing. And I remember when we launched very strongly in specialty, right? And at the time, if you remember, it was, who else came out right at that time was, I think C4 might have just been out. The C4 came out. Right. Hyde, the really terrible Hyde.
The Hyde,
It was just,
it was out about that.
And then BSN also had an Endo Rush. So it was like, I remember when we were launching with Muscle Foods, those were the other brands that were kind of launching. And
was 3D around that time too?
No, not yet.
A little bit later. BSN was the one we looked at early. BSN is what Reign. I'm sorry, let's backpedal. Reign was BSN kind of left the model for, hey, how do you go after Bang? And whether they couldn't, wouldn't, whatever, they didn't. It didn't work for them, right? Maybe it was flavoring, who knows? But Reign kind of took that model as taking that better for you energy category and go, oh, there is some legs here. But moreover, Monster and Red Bull wanted Bang out of the energy cooler. That's how that started. Is this functional beverage category wasn't even an issue for Bang. We wanted to go against Red Bull and Monster.
Right.
We don't want any part of a different cooler door. And then Monster goes, all right, well they're taking too much. In Monster and Red Bull used to be able to crush people in the past. It was like, all right, we'll throw a few tens of thousands of dollars at a problem and it'll go away. Bang didn't go away. So they're like, we'll create a drink to go against Bang and Reign and create a whole new category. It's functional beverage category now that everybody's hopping in, right? And that kind of protected the energy door away, because now there was a time if you walked into a convenience grocery store, everybody started taking a piece of Red Bull and Monster's energy door. Now that's not happening anymore.
Yep. So, I mean, when we first launched, our thought in our head was always, can you imagine this at a NASCAR? It was really a C-store play for us. Mm-hmm. It wasn't really a specialty. It just happened to be, that's where our connections were. There weren't a lot of other options in specialty. And that's kind of where we grew. We grew a good bit, a 7-figure business. And we had no idea what we were doing. You saw us at NACS the first year. Literally we had we were figuring it out.
Yeah, but you were the outlier in that space. Like everybody
loved us.
When I walked by there, and people that I knew in that industry would walk up to me, was like, man, what about these guys? I'm like, I said, dude, they're making noise, right? I mean, they are. You didn't necessarily fit in that space, right?
Yeah.
Which makes sense if you're in a show like that. Do you want to stand out? Because there's so many booths at that show, it's insane.
But I will say with the relaunch, our kind of direction, and I think a lot of this is driven by you too, right? Like our direction is a little different because specialty only can take you so far.
Right.
The mom and pop, I mean, that can grow you a nice little business, but it can't grow you like an empire business, right?
Agreed.
Which, and we still have belief in this brand that this can be that empire-esque business, and especially when we hear feedback, right?
No, absolutely. And I love you guys.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have come here if I didn't see upside, right?
Right.
But to double down on specialty still is to some degree, but it's not the incubator it used to be.
Right.
Just because there are so many brands now. So you used to be able to build a nice nest egg, for lack of a better reference point, in specialty to use that money to springboard into large format.
And that is so now instead of having 5 competitors, now there's 15 competitors. So the less money for each, right?
And more coming.
So this time around, and one of the reasons you're here is to help drive the other, like the FDM, the C store, and all of that. And so, without giving away too many of our cards, what is your plan? So let's talk about building a energy drink company, not necessarily like a specialty drink company, but like, what are your plans for our drink company? Like, what is our strategy here? What are we trying to do? And maybe we can talk a little bit about that.
Well, I know we had talked about protecting our backyard first, but the branding and leaning heavily, even though there was a rebrand and repackaging, if you will, of the can, we still leaned in heavily to the Merica theme. Is really taking hold in the middle of the country. So we had originally talked about.
Whoa!
Oh no.
I found this outside. What is boom? You know what boom is? Sucks! It's what it is. Is this thing on? This guy doesn't know what he's talking about, how to start an energy drink company. All you need is pow, baby! Yeah! Mega hecka mother effing creatine! Woo! Boom!
PTSD.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I'm gonna go high.
Yeah, does that bring back memory?
And that interruption today is brought to you by POW.
I'm gonna go hide in the closet. No, typically those outbursts.
Hit that door.
Those outbursts are normally at 2 a.m.
Yeah, that Zach
Not 2 in the
happened
afternoon.
to open up that door.
Oh dear Jesus.
What the heck were we talking about?
Route to market.
We're
Route to
building
market.
Boom right now.
Oh, we're building Boom. Yeah.
So no, the twofold. The plan was to kind of go back after specialty, which has proven to be a little bit harder, right? Because there's so many brands right now. So I think we have picked off a lot of our loyalists.
Yeah.
But I love the specialty game and always be a special place in my heart. But like you just said, there's a difference between being, let's say, $100 million company and $1 billion company is moving in a large format. So grocery and convenience is ultimately the goal because that's where the numbers is, where the money is. So inevitably, you're going to move to specialty anyway. So kind of going back in reverse again, where with Bang Energy, there used to be a model to market where you would get some interest in some retail chains, and then you would go to a distributor and like, hey man, I need you to help me incubate this.
And by distributor here, you're not talking Europa Sports Muscle Food. You're talking about the Core-Mark and the McLean and
so the broker network with those guys,
yeah.
or the beer network, Miller Coors houses, Budweiser houses. Those are the ones that kind of helped build a lot of the energy drinks early. But I think COVID changed a lot of it too, where a lot of these retailers will say HEB in Texas, they can take you on directly. Hy-Vee in the Midwest, they can take you on directly. So as you're building an energy drink now, that's your most prudent choice right now, is to kind of identify those that can warehouse directly and you can work with directly, and then maybe backpedal to some of the other distribution partners to get some of the outliers. That's a tougher ask because if you start dealing with those Budweiser, Miller, or even some of the regional distribution partners, they want their exclusivities. So you're not necessarily going to give. I'm not going to go to a Budweiser distributor in Iowa and say, hey man, I want you to cover everything else, but I'm taking Hy-Vee from you. That's not gonna fly for those guys. So that's the tough road now to navigate, is to try to find those partners that are willing to work with you because they know these guys want to go direct because they're going to save money. And
Well,
time.
that's the funny thing. We were just talking about it before this. I was like, sometimes ignorance is bliss, because I was telling James, I was like, sometimes, James, you know just a little too much. Like, I would just sign that sucker and be like, yo, let's roll. We got another state on board. And then, you know, I'm like, James, you're thinking a little too big. You're thinking $1 billion. At that point, it won't matter. You know, like,
I'll stroke a check. Let's go.
Yeah. It's like, you know, some of those exclusivities won't matter. Like, we won't even care about all the penalties we have to pay at that point. But that's kind of tempered our growth a little bit because we are planning for the future and doing this a little bit more conservative and more, I guess, strategic is the right word.
I think that's the best part.
And it's funny where we're ending up. We're ending up in middle America.
Middle of America, yeah. Whereas I really thought, the Southeast is still going to pick on at some point, right? I mean, it's going to happen. But the middle of the country is like really dialed in. I've reached out, or I've had distribution partners reach out to me that I had no interest in talking to anytime in the near future. It's like, hey man, why haven't you called me yet? I'm like, I don't really want to talk to you right now. Give me a couple of years. Let me establish some business, and then we'll double back. But to your point, it is getting to be a crowded market. So maybe it is time to kind of not necessarily scrap the strategy by any stretch, because we definitely want to grow this thing in a sustainable way. But finding those partners that are going to buy into the brand like we have.
Yep.
And really appreciate what we're doing.
I think the ones that we've picked off so far in terms of those regional distributors seem to be on board.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Like getting good movement and placement and everything like that. So
no, the people who have bought in, and they really appreciate the branding. And that's, I was talking to another mentor in the space a few nights ago, and he was like, so what do you think of the specialty space right now as that incubator model? And I was like, well, there's so many drinks now. And he said it before I did. He goes, yeah, but they all taste the same. I'm like, for the most part, they do kind of all taste the same.
which goes back to our original point that we talked about new flavors here where we go.
100%.
Boosh, boosh.
Bush to bush, yeah.
Boom. So in talking to him in that space, is what separates you, right? And I think what separates us is the branding. Everything else kind of looks the same too.
Yep.
Whereas we're
Well, did you see Rise's new drink that they're, and I sent it to you, and I was like,
similar.
this looks like a white ghost.
Kind of a little bit.
I mean, like, let's just be honest.
Yeah,
they're both very strong brands. So I'm not talking smack here, but man, I swear that
shelf presence
it looked like a Ghost energy drink to me. Yeah,
and maybe that's by
It looked
design.
like Raise to me.
If I'm a Rise and someone's picking
Rise
my
and
case
Raise.
instead of a
Raise?
Ghost.
Rise and Raise. That's
What did I say?
confusing.
Rise.
Ghost.
RYSE is what I'm talking about.
Gotcha. Yep.
I know,
Yeah.
but it looks like
Raise.
Raise, and then it gets confusing
I
with
see.
Rise and Raise.
I'm talking about Rise. Yeah.
I know.
Who's on first?
I don't know. What are we talking about?
I'm just over here just jumping in, trying to get my words.
Where am I?
Meat Brigade! Yeah, buddy.
Just trying to get my words.
Brad Pitt Viper here.
Oh man. All right. So what are the trends that you're seeing here? What do you like in the industry? What is crap? What do you think is let's give your rundown on taking America out of the space. Like, what do you see going on now?
Leaning heavily in the lifestyle. I mean, Ghost is doing a really good job with their brand collaborations. I know we've talked about doing a couple of those. We even talked about doing a couple that may make fun of the whole thing, which I think would be awesome. Hoping that comes to fruition. We'll see. But that's basically now that everything does kind of taste similar, what's going to separate you is going to be your branding and trying to create a new flavor profile or create nostalgic flavor profiles by leaning into, say, the Starburst or...
How much do you think the C-store grocery consumer, which is the large majority of customers, like, right? How many of them do you think care about the formulation, the actual active ingredients?
So one of the conversations we had early on with Ed Bang was Jack would go on and on about the ingredient profile.
Yep.
And at that time, we would all say, Jack, no one gives a damn. It tastes good. It's high in caffeine, all they care about. When we went to Ignite, that drink is efficaciously dosed as a nootropic.
Yeah.
No one cares. Does it taste good? Is it high in caffeine? Do I feel something?
Does it look good?
Does it look good? That's the long and the short in that category right now. And that even though that is the bulk of the consumer in the country, they're not very educated.
Well, and just to provide some transparency here also, the difference between probably let's say a prop blend, let's say the difference between, so when you're buying these cans, we've had to learn how to do this from scratch, and it's way different than supplements. The suppliers, the cans, the sleeves, the manufacturing, the how you buy the raws and the kits and all that other stuff, and how you price it out and how you have to pay for all that stuff, right? So the flavor kits for these, we're really only talking the difference between like a prop blend where you really don't even know what the heck's in it, and it's just like soda, right? Like let's say 3D and Alani, right? They're basically the same thing, and they're a prop blend. And somebody like, let's say, I'm trying to take Merica out of it for this conversation. So something like Ghost that has a a nicely efficacious dosed nootropic aspect of it. We're talking at most $1 per case difference in cost based on that. So on average. So like, and might be even less than that. So over a can, I mean, we're talking maybe an 8-cent difference, which, I mean, honestly, we talk about this all the time. Like $1 a case does add up, but it's not as much as what I think a lot of the viewers and most people would think the difference in the cost. It's not like a dietary supplement, right? Because at the end of the day, you're drinking single serves, not 20 or 30 serves. So just for some perspective, that formulation really doesn't affect cost as much as other things would.
No, not at all. Not at all. At this point, you're just as much from a cost standpoint. You're tied to volume, right? Yep. I mean, that's the biggest thing. There are so many things. Ed Seltzer's has taken a big hit in co-packing this country as well. If you're not promising a co-packer a million cases a year, or a million cans a year, you're kind of behind the 8 ball. Immediately from a pricing standpoint and maybe even a line time standpoint.
Yep. I mean, I think that's the one thing that we will say with our partner, our manufacturing partner. So we did change our manufacturing partner. We used to run in Florida, and now we run in Michigan. They have been one of the best service providers, contract manufacturers, even in the dietary supplement space that we've ever used. I think.
I can tell you from a beverage standpoint that I've had the opportunity to work with multiple in the States and internationally. They are by far the most gracious group I've ever had.
I think that's a good way to say it. Like they don't give us pushback. There's not like a rinky-dink charge here for this and a rinky-dink charge here for this because you ask us to do one little tiny thing or check on something, give us an inventory count, or it's always like, happy to do it.
Yep. Well, we can really double down on that because our last run where our cans were late.
Yes.
Really pushed them behind on their schedule, and they run 12 ounces and 16 ounces. So it's a I think 4 to 6 hour switch over just to change the line out to run the next. They waited to the last possible second to make a decision on whether to kick us off that line time the next day or not. And they, to their credit, man, if it had been me or you, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Right.
But they were amazing. It's like, no, dude, we'll make it work if we can make it work. And I mean, they pushed it to the last possible minute. And they're like, all right, and the cans finally arrived, so everything worked out well. But they were super gracious.
So I don't know what else I was going at here. What were we talking about? Oh, the different costs in it. So what else do you see on the market now? Like we know Alani and Ghost are doing, have a good footprint and they're doing well. What else are you seeing out there because like everyone's like. Rise, I think is the right way to say it. Rise is coming out with one. Who else is coming out with one? I think Hyde is coming back out with that can. I don't know who's doing their can design. That one's a little tough.
It's aggressive.
It's aggressive. And I feel like there's some other people coming out with one.
Well, there's other drinks that you don't like. I saw for the first time like being in when we were on
Europa.
the road. Mm-hmm. No, not in Europa. Oh. Like more like Sway was one of them. Right, lifestyle. Right. When you mentioned some lifestyle type stuff.
So. What do you think of the Rock's drink?
Oh, and the Rock.
How is that drink moving? Let's just get right to it. It tastes like poo poo.
It's the Rock. It's 100%.
But that's okay to buy it once to support the Rock. But if I'm gonna drive, I'm not drinking Rock piss. No, right? Like
it's not good. And I'll be nicer than I usually am just because this will be public. I'm not going to say what I really want to say.
Yeah.
And we just talked about everything is kind of relatively tastes the same, and everything's kind of really good at this point. Yeah. With some few outliers that we won't name specifically. But in an arena where everything tastes amazing, why would you choose something that's lackluster? I don't care who's behind the brand. Which is disappointing because I actually kind of like his tequila, even though it's obviously made for mass market. This tequila is pretty strong for what it is. I was so shocked this
Well,
product.
apparently they came out with a 12-ounce energy version now, right?
I think
and I hear it's better.
immunity boost. I have heard it's better. Maybe they are getting some feedback and changing.
I think Shane from Stack 3D mentioned that it is better.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, that one always
on it.
caught me by surprise. What do you think about what is it? Logan Paul?
The Prime, the hydration drink. Man, again, at this point, if you're leaning toward, obviously it's not carbonated, it is as a hydration. They're going after Gatorade, and whatever your feelings are, the Paul brothers are, man, those kids get it, man. Jesus, I mean, it doesn't matter what they touch right now; it's turning to gold, like The Rock, I guess. But I understand that there was a supply chain issue with Gatorade and maybe some of those guys, so they took advantage of a situation, and they're
Have you tried it?
I have not tried it yet, but I think it's like 3 or 4 grams of sugar per serving, and I don't really mess with sugar. So, but they have taken over so much market share so quickly. I mean, I saw some like 20 pallet drop at a Walmart in California. It's like, Jesus, guys, for something that's been in trade for 2 months is insane. But it's just much a testament to what we talked about earlier, this lifestyle brand and how are you driving traffic, right? And that's more if you're going to differentiate yourself from what's in the market now, it's your branding play and how you move in traffic.
All right, if we have free range, right? I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay.
And you can give away all our trade secrets here. What is the next product category from Merica Energy? The company. If you wanted to do so, like I said, hey James, let's keep rolling with the 16-ounce energy drink. What do we do next?
I think there's
on the beverage side.
I think there's an allied brand internally that we could do a 12-ounce for that'd be really, really popular. And I would say sometime in the next year or so, this THC, maybe even Delta 8 market is going to start to take some market share too. So that's
Do you think? What about isn't there something up for Delta 8 legality now? Do you know anything about that?
I've seen some of it, but that's why I would say lean or start some work in the THC space, because that's who's driving that. It's the THC investors who are going to lose out on market share by allowing Delta 8 in the market.
Do you really think they're going to federally legalize THC?
100% agree. At some point in the next 2 years. I have no doubt.
2 years?
2 years. You're losing too much money. Let's look at it this way. During the pandemic, THC shops, where it was legal, was considered essential business. But it was illegal in other states? Sounds like a pathway to legalization to me. And you're losing revenue as a country.
Well, we did try a Delta 8 Merica Energy, just saying.
Who that? So
it was amazing.
I think that's the pathway for beverage moving forward, because again, the energy category is so saturated now.
So do you mix energy with it? Do you mix caffeine with a THC product, or do you go non-stimulant with a THC product?
I think you can do both. I think you can kind of, because
just add a plus on the end for the energy.
Right. But you're allowing yourself to enjoy it longer, I guess. I mean, because if I have taken a Delta 8 personally, it's supposed to be to sleep. But if I'm thinking internally, I'm like, if I have a little bit of caffeine, maybe I can kind of, elongate that kind of high feeling. I don't want to say high, but.
Did you just say elongate?
And high.
And high?
Here we go again.
Hey, what's going on?
I love it here.
I love it here.
I'm here for the gayness.
Yep.
I'm here for that and the drinks. So,
what else you got, Meat? You got anything else for Mr. James Gracie talking about energy drinks here?
I don't think there's anything. We're running short on time.
Yeah, I know. That's why
you got a big call here in a little bit.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And then I think we want to switch gears, actually.
Yeah.
We're going to switch
well,
gears.
I appreciate you guys giving me a chance to get out of my shell, because you know how much I hate this. And being that we're 45 minutes in, I'm shocked it's been that long. But the real reason why we had Meat put this together is that I've had the opportunity, and I'm going to say I too much to drive me crazy, to put this thing together. I work for a lot of companies and a lot of bosses who don't back up or follow through on what they say and do. To me, culture is amazing.
There's a bunch of people that just walked in that you can't see right now.
Pretty much everybody in the warehouse.
Yeah.
So culture to me is paramount, which is one of the biggest reasons why I came here. And people who do what they say they're going to do. And having the opportunity to travel with you more often recently, you remind me of a couple of mentors I've had in the space where your word is your bond. And that's amazing. And you've been giving out these coins to people to recognize them for what they do or for the company, and kind of recognize their character, right? And we want to give one to you, and to stay humble. And the reason stay humble is yours is that even though you have, started to build this empire, if you will, I'm going to say it, you haven't let it get to your head. You are the kind of guy that if you're going to ask somebody to go pull something in the back, you're going to go do it with them. And I could tell you from my short time being here and working for some people, I could tell you would not do that. It was one of the biggest driving reasons why I came here. And I know a lot of the people in this room feel the same way.
Man, I was about to get a little emotional there for a minute. This is so weird. It's like, yeah, I don't even know what to say.
So the funny thing is like James mentioned it to me, and then I was thinking about it, and then talking to Sam, and it's like, yeah, can we give these to Doug? Like Doug keeps giving us these coins. Like he keeps giving out these coins, but like, and then all of us were thinking of that coin specifically.
And that's why
you are the king at using 100%. We, and it is ours, and it is us, and it is not about I.
100%.
This is super weird. I don't know why I'm getting emotional. And I don't know if I even want to put this on the internet, but
do it.
This means a lot just because the past week has weighed a lot on me. There's so many things going on in my life, a lot driven by this business that has just been, I told you the other day, I feel like I'm like this, like constantly pushing away. Like it's either swatting flies or it's constantly going like this. And it's a lot sometimes, and I don't have anyone to talk to about this. Like I can't, like I can talk to Stephanie about this, but like if I want to talk to somebody else, like it's hard because all my best friends are in my business, right? And I'm a leader, so it's like I don't literally have anyone to talk to. So the pressures are always like this, and a lot of the pressures are self-imposed, but it's because I have such good people like you guys that I put so much pressure on me. Like I don't care about the money. I mean, I'm going to be fine, right? Like regardless if I lost all my money, I know I'm going to be fine. I don't care about that. I really care a lot about, right now we've been talking about like profitability is tough. Business is great, but the percentage profitability is lower than ever, and that weighs a lot on me. And not because of me. Like I said, I'm going to be fine. It's just because my goal is to continue to give everyone opportunities all the time. And that I don't want that to slow down, right? Because it's been great recently, right? And so like now when costs of goods are up 70% and all that, it just makes things a lot more difficult. And that adds, I put that stress on me, not because of like anything like myself, it's because of you guys. And so to receive this coin, any day is amazing, but to receive it today just really means a lot. So thank you so much. I love you guys.
Love you too, man.
brother.
Yeah. So that just got super weird.
No, it was just.
We were trying to
right.
make you cry. That was the point.
Yeah. Well, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. Oh yeah. Just needed to lighten it up a little bit.
Pull yourself together. You got
got
to
it.
switch gears. You got a big call. You got to go swat a fly.
I'm definitely
Flot a swai.
as you would say.
Flot a swai.
That's why.
All right, guys. I guess that's it.
That was fun. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Until next time, keep crushing it.